In this video, we are going to look for the top 6 traps in the Queen's Gambit, 3 for white and 3 for black. Okay, so in this position, we are going to look for the top 3 traps at the Queen's Gambit as black. Now, here, white begins with the Queen's pawn opening by playing d4. So, if you want to know the 8 best replies against d4, then I have made a video on it. You can check it out later. How we can reply to this is we reply d5 and then white plays the queen's gambit by playing c4. So the main idea is that he want to attack the central pawn that you can see. Now as black, what you can do is you can begin with the queen's gambit accepted line by taking the pawn. Or what you can do is you can play c6 the slab defense. You can play e6 the queen's gambit declined variation. You can play e5 the Alpin counter gambit. So here we are going to look for e5, which is the queen's gambit declined Alpin counter gambit. So what will happen is white captures the e5 pawn, then there is no need of capturing the pawn. Simply push the pawn. So white becomes greedy and white tries to play knight to f3, attacking the pawn, creating a double attack. So we only have one defender, so we must bring another defender. So we played knight to c6. Here, what white is playing is he wants to develop another knight. So the main reason can be that this knight wants to jump here and to attack the pawn. So this is a very nice planning by white. But in this position, what we are going to do is we play queen to e7. Now we can see that this queen is blocked by the knight. So it cannot capture the pawn. Anyways, in this position, what white played was, white played a3. So in this position, if white played a3, then what we can do is we capture the pawn with the knight, and white becomes greedy that white don't want to exchange the knight. Why do we exchange the knight actually? We must split the pawn, but it is a big blunder. So try to find out the solution by yourself. Alright, so the solution of this problem is knight to d3, giving a checkmate. Remember, there is a queen giving a pain. Alright, now let's look on another trap where we look for queen's gambit declined variation by playing e6. Now in this position, what white plays is white played knight to c3. So the main important line here is knight to f6. Now in this position, what white played was bishop to g5, pinning the knight that you can see. Here we play knight b to d7. So what is the main plan that comes to your mind? The main plan can be that white can capture it and we capture it back. Knight captures it. Then what we are going to do? Since if we capture it, then we are going to loot the queen, right? These are all your plannings. So here we have captured the knight. And now in this position, if white captures the queen, begin with bishop to b4 giving a check. And now try to look. White has only one option. Otherwise that's an illegal. So that is playing queen to d2. And at last you can win the queen. White captures it. Then we capture the bishop. Now calculate your pieces. You will observe that you have a bishop up. And this states that playing queen's gambit declined variation is a very nice opening that you can try against queen's gambit. Alright, now let's look on the third trap in the queen's gambit. And in this position, once again we play e6, the queen's gambit declined variation. Now here comes knight to c3, then we play c5, which is the trust defense. Now what we are going to do is we are attacking the central pawn. Also, if white captures, then you can activate your bishop like this as shown in front of you. Anyways, going back, let's come to the main line. What white is going to do is white is going to capture the central pawn. So what you are going to do? No need to capture the pawn back. Capture the central pawn only. Now it is attacking the knight. So white must protect the knight. And here white takes the pawn, which is the best that white can do. And now here we are beginning with knight to c6, attacking the queen. Remember, if white takes, then we can capture the queen. So of course white is not going to capture, otherwise he is going to lose the queen. Anyways, in this position, white plays queen to d1. So what you can do is you can capture the center pawn, and then once again you can see that white have a majority attacking this pawn. So of course white captures it. But yes, there is no need of capturing the queen back. Play bishop to e6, attacking the queen. So in this position, white captures the queen. Then we capture it from the rook. Now what you can see that you have created a control on the open file, which is a very nice principle. Anyways, in this position, if white tries something like playing a3, okay, if we look on a3, then many of you are going to say that we can play bishop over here, right? But remember, there's a knight that is protecting the square. So you cannot try something like bishop over here and then you can try to checkmate like this. You cannot do like that, since there is a knight which can attack your rook. Anyways, in this position, the main trap comes knight to d4. Now why we play knight to d4? This is the main reason, creating the fork. So of course white plays rook to b1. Now white wants to protect the rook, so white played this, and white did a big blunder because there was a checkmate. So basically what white can do here is white can play e4, and then once again we begin with the fork. Otherwise, if white doesn't place e4, then of course there's going to be checkmate. Okay, so let's look at the top 3 traps for white pieces. Now how we play the queen's gambit is like as I show you, d4, d5, c4, and then we reach the queen's gambit variation. Now if black tries to be greedy and capture the pawn, let's say here it captures. What you can do is you can first of all see that you have got a central space where what you can do is you can play e4 and can create a control on the central squares as well as the 4 squares highlighted. Anyways, in this position what black plays is e3. So in this position white plays e3 basically for activating the bishop attacking the pawn at c4. So what we do is black replies with knight to f6, then we capture the c4 pawn. Now in this position, black plays g6. What we can do is play knight to f3, activating the knight. Now, first of all, you can see that black want to develop the bishop, attacking towards a long open diagonal. So you must be careful for that. Anyways, okay, black plays bishop to g7. Now what we are going to do is we play queen to a4, giving a check. So in this position, bishop comes. If bishop comes over here, then what you can do is you can play the queen over here like this, and can attack this pawn, also attack this pawn. Anyways, going back in this position, the most common reply you are going to see is knight b to d7. Now what you can do is sacrifice the bishop and make black shocked. If black captures it, then play queen knight to g5, giving a check. And of course, if black king goes to g8, then play queen to c4, giving a check. Now there's a checkmate with just 4 moves like this. Alright, so let's look on another trap as white, where we reach the queen's gambit variation, and now this time black plays c6, the slab defense. So what you can do is play knight to c3, knight to f6, then come knight to f3, developing the knight, bishop to f5. Now you can see that this is a very sharp move attacking towards this diagonal that you can see. Here what we do is we eliminate the central pawn, black captures the pawn back, we begin with queen to b3, attacking this pawn and attacking the pawn. So in this position, if I tell you what the grandmasters do, what many of the players don't know, and that is they play bishop back. The grandmasters play bishop back, which is the best they can do. And many of the players focus for that we can play b6 or we can play queen to b6, right? And this is the common move that many of you play. So let's look for queen to b6. What we can do is we can capture the central pawn. There is no need of exchanging the queen. And if black is trying to exchange to gain the material like this, what you can do? Okay, in this position, I want to share a very important thought that I realized. In this position, if you think for playing this check, so this is a very big mistake. If you play king over here or here, there's no matter in that. And if you capture the rook, then there's a queen also. So first you have to capture it and at last you will lose the knight. So be careful. Giving knight to check like this is not a valid reason. So of course capture the knight, black captures and then capture the queen. Is going back in this position, what we can do is, here comes b6. Actually in this position we look for queen to b6 like this. So let's look for b6 as the second reply. What we can do in this position? There is no need to worry, play e4. So what you can see is they play the move like this only, attacking the bishop or any minor piece, means they can gain the material. So you have only two options, whether to fall for the trap or to give up your minor piece or any of the piece that they want to suggest. Like in this position, what we are going to do. Anyways, the main motive is that we want to develop the bishop like this. That you must understand. So here what we do is black captures the pawn, knight goes to e5 first of all. There's a checkmate in one. Be careful for it. Here comes e6. So comes bishop to b5 giving a check. Then comes knight b to d7. What you can do is play bishop to g5, pinning the queen. Many of you are going to say, let's play bishop to e7, capture the knight, black captures it and at last give the check. You want a minor piece or... Okay, so let's look for the last trap and that is by playing d4, black replies d5 and then comes c4. So in this position, black captures the pawn beginning with queen's gambit and in this position we play e3 attacking the pawn. But in this position I want to show you the killer trap that you have never seen. In this position what you are going to see is that if black tries to be greedy and he wants to protect the pawn, so what he can do is play b5, protecting the pawn. Then what we can do is playing e4, attacking the pawn that you can see. And playing a6 doesn't make sense since we can capture it. It captures and at last white can capture the rook. So of course black is not going to play like this. So what black is going to play is bishop to d7. And in this position we capture the pawn. Bishop captures it and then comes knight to c3, attacking the bishop that you can see. So here comes bishop to a6. Then we play queen to f3, attacking the rook. And there is only one option to protect it, play c6. Otherwise the rook is gone. So what you can do is sacrifice the rook, where if black captures it, then play queen cross c6 giving a check, and at last queen comes to d7. Why do you want to capture the knight first? Capture the rook, queen goes back, then give a check once again, and at last capture the knight.